Welcome back to Growing Organic. Today what I have is a Ein Sheiner apple. This is good if you're growing in a place where it's kind of a warm climate like I am here. This is a zone 10B, so it never gets very cold, and typically most apples varieties will want a colder climate. So what happens when you get these, they just come in this little plastic bag. And the benefit of this is they're pretty inexpensive. I paid only $20 for this tree right here. And then you can also see over here I bought some other bare root trees that I purchased these the same way in the bare root form, and this is like a year or two later after they've grown for a little while. You can see the trunk down here is about an inch wide. So you can see on the label here, semi-dwarf Ein Sheiner apple. And the key thing here is it says adaptable to warm winter climates. And here in San Diego, Southern California, this is one of the only, there's probably about 3 or 4 apples that you can grow in this climate well. And I have 2 of them over here, which is the Anna and the Dorset. Golden Dorsets, and this one also is an excellent one too. So now I have all my favorite apples. You can see the price, $21.98. So an entire fruit tree for $21. That's a pretty good deal if you're on a budget and you want to start growing plants and fruit trees, get an orchard going. You can do one at a time, spend $20, you know, the cost of a dinner. You can have a tree, and then you can start having fruit like this on there. So these apples are just starting to form. So let's go ahead and get this in the ground. So I'm gonna go ahead and open this up. Now the dirt inside is not usable, so you have to get rid of the, it's usually like a sawdust type of dirt that just keeps the roots hydrated while it's in this plastic bag. So set that down. I'll just leave it there. So the problem is sometimes you don't know how long these bags have been sitting in the store, so you take a chance with these. You know, they could be sitting in the hot sun and no moisture for a couple weeks. I feel pretty good about this one. It looked like it was pretty healthy, and you can also take a branch. If it snaps off really easy and there's no green inside, so you can still see there's a lot of green in there. So that's a good sign. If it snaps like a twig, and see, I can't get it to completely snap, so that's a sign that it's still alive. So let's go ahead and start this process. I'll show you the tools we'll need. All right, I got some tools here just so I can do the work I need to do. You get some of these pruners to prune the plant after we put it in. I need this to cut the wires, and I might need this to cut the plastic. Over here I have a bucket of water, because what we're going to be doing is, after we open this up, we will be putting it in water for about a half hour to soak all the roots, and I'll do a solution of a little bit of a seaweed extract too to help stimulate root growth. So let's go ahead and cut this open here. So first I will, sorry for the noise, I live on a busy street. Okay. Alright, I cut that. They have a wire on here, so you want to snap that off. You want to be careful with these roots at the beginning. Okay, got that opened up. Now if you can look inside, it's definitely still wet, which is a good sign. If that was really dry, I'd be concerned. Okay, so it's almost just like wood chips or sawdust, large pieces of sawdust. Just keeps those roots hydrated while they have it in shipment. The reason they can sell these cheap is because they can just stack them and pack them up, and they don't take much space like the potted plants have to be stacked all vertical and spaced apart. So let's go ahead and just get this bag out of your way a little bit. Okay, so that kind of, let's see what we got here. Oh, it looks kind of dry down here. That's not a good sign. See, I like to see that wet all the way down, but it looks like at least somebody was watering it here. You can see, I want to get this in the water, soaking in that water as soon as I can. So I'm just going to help this out here. Again, I'm just doing this with one hand. All right, so this is what we're looking at. Look at all those roots. So I'm going to carefully pick that up. Looks like we already lost a little bit. Something broke off here. It should be fine. All right, so you can see there's the roots. Let's go ahead and set all those right in the water. Got my 5-gallon bucket. And fill that bucket up to almost to the top. I'm going to put this in the shade over here too. I want to drag this over. I don't want this tree sitting in full sun. It's going to be too shocking. I'm going to keep it out of the full sun at the beginning. A little filter light. You can see I got a little bit of a shadow from this avocado tree here. So there we go. So the next step is to get my soil prepped in either your pot or your, digging a hole for it. I prefer putting things in pots in the beginning because you can move the plants around and you don't have to commit to a space right away and have all the soil ready, because it takes a lot of soil to prep it for a big tree. But I'll probably put this in a 5-gallon bucket with some good real light mix where these roots are able to take off. Nothing, you don't want to set them in heavy clay or sand. Make sure you have some good organic matter in there, compost and whatnot. No need to overdo the fertilizer at the beginning. Give them a light dosing, diluted. You do like a fish fertilizer, or if the soil you have is a good potting soil, that should be fine. All right, you can see here I got my soil mixed here in this little tray. You can kind of get an idea of if your soil is good enough is if you put it in your hand, squeeze the ball, and then let go. If it sticks together very easily, it means you don't have enough organic matter in it. This could use a little more organic matter. You can see it's still kind of sticking, but otherwise when it falls it just breaks apart. That's pretty good. The super soil, which is in this bucket, which I'm using on all my vegetables, I mixed that with about 30% of native sand, the native soil that's on my property, just to get this nutrient amount not so strong, because inside of this, for this tree here, you don't need tons of nutrients the first few months. So it's not going to be, it's just going to be getting started. It's not going to want to be overwhelmed with a bunch of phosphorus and fertilizer that's going to, for blooming, for creating fruit. You can see over here, or the vegetables, which are going to be like the tomatoes. And so to make your soil go a little longer, a little further, I got that native soil mixed in, so that kind of thins it out, yet there's still plenty of nutrients in there. So it's going to be a perfect medium for this bare root tree right here. Got my seaweed extract here, soluble seaweed powder, maxi crop. Stand in a solution of 1 teaspoon to 1 gallon of water. So I got about 5 gallons. I'm going to go ahead and put in about a tablespoon. So everything likes it, the seedlings, the cuttings, the rootings, houseplants. So let's go ahead and do that. That's going to really help stimulate the roots. I'm going to just kind of eyeball this. Watch how when it turns colors though. I'm going to eyeball about a tablespoon. Alright, that's probably a tablespoon, but this stuff will just turn the water completely brown or reddish. seaweed is very dense, but I don't even have to stir it. But I'm gonna watch this, make it a nice stew. Look at that, how rich, dark that is already. I mean, it's like black. I only put about a tablespoon in. This stuff is really amazing. What I'll also do is take this tea and water it. After I put the plant in the ground, I'll water it with this as well. So any extra water I can put it on other plants. So let's let this soak for another 20 minutes here with the seaweed in there. So again, I'll put a link in the description, but I did another video on using seaweed extract. This is another brand. What I want to do is, at the beginning, is just fill it up to about 1/3, I'd say. So you can see the pot, I would say you want to fill it up about to, leave about a quarter full, so the roots can still go down about another 3 inches, but the roots will sit here and then be filled up to here. So that's, you don't want to just set it on the ground and have the roots sitting right on the bottom. You want to give them a little growth space. And once it outgrows this pot, we can easily transplant it to a bigger one. So, all right, and never pack the dirt. You don't ever want to push when you're dealing with these light roots. They want to have the lightest dirt as possible. So that looks like about a quarter to a third. So set this on the ground here. So we got everything we need now. We got, let's just double check this to make sure I got the right height. So if I go, I want to try to keep this in the center. So if you want, you can see how I'm kind of spinning it. That'll allow the roots to kind of bend in a circle. Later I can obviously put this in a bigger pot, but for now there's no need to overdo it. Alright, so I'll get those. That'll be like that. That's looking pretty good. And I'll shove this root. This one's sticking out right here. I'll shove it in when we're planting. But okay, let's just put this back in for a little bit. I want to really have those nutrients absorb right into the trunk of that tree right now, so that thing is just really absorbing that for about a half hour. All right, let's come back to this. So that has been there for a good half hour soaking. Now we are ready to start putting the soil in. So let's get started on this. So we got everything ready. We got our soil. This is filled up about a quarter of the way, or a third. Let's go ahead and set this in. Stuff is completely soaked. It's been in there for at least half hour. All right, so I want to keep it right in the middle. Try to keep these roots down. See, I'm going to go ahead and point them down. Make sure they're not sticking up. Okay, I'm going to take the scoop here. Go ahead and start. I'm going to dump it on this side because the tree is kind of off center, the roots. This will help push it over. I'm going to kind of just shake it a little bit. That'll kind of let the roots kind of settle in that dirt. Okay. So again, try to keep the trunk centered on the pot. So keep in mind the height you're going to fill your dirt. So right here is about the height. Just keep going with this dirt. Alright, so we got this just about to the middle. Used up almost all of my dirt here. Now you can see I'm a little bit off center on this because the roots were kind of all to one side. So I'm going to push. Make sure to push on that, and I'm going to push down right here on this side. And also I'm going to shake it a little bit. just to make sure those roots are embedded. So I'm not going to push down. You don't ever want to pack this dirt down really hard. A lot of people start pushing and pushing and packing. That's just not what you want to do. Just let the water from here, when we water it, the water will settle it down. Give it a little smack around the edges like this. All right, make sure it's straight. Okay, so that's looking good. Let's go ahead and set this up. I'm going to set this right on this tray because I don't want, when I water it, I don't want all the water to just spill out on the ground. So let's go ahead and I'll get another scoop and I'll just dump this in. Get this tree off to a good start. So this is exciting, $21, brand new tree. Simple as that. Then also what I'm going to do is be doing some pruning on this too. So let me show you how to do the pruning. So this is 32 ounces right here. I'm going to give it at least 2 of these right here. So that's 64 ounces of water with the seaweed tea. And let's see if water, what you want to do is wait until you see water down here start spilling out. And try to do this little by little. So I didn't dump all of it at once. I'm going to let this slowly soak in. So that's 2. I did 32 ounces twice. So we're up to 64 ounces. And this pot is 3.5 gallons. So I'm thinking that might be okay, but I'm going to do probably one more. I want to make sure water is going to seep out the bottom. That's why we know that this is completely saturated. You can see now as well as I want to top this off with a little more dirt. Because what happens, all those little voids in there get filled in, and I'll go ahead and top that off. So let's grab a scoop here and top that off. All right, so that's good. Let's go ahead and just pull that around. So I'm gonna do one more scoop. Now that that initial water is settled, and I put the dirt in again, let's go ahead and do another 32 ounces. So this is a diluted seaweed. You can see that it's about a tablespoon in 5 gallons. It's pretty diluted. All right, so that's 3 of these. So that's 96 ounces so far. So I'm thinking that should be probably sufficient. It looks like the drainage is working pretty good. The soil's not too packed in. The water is going down. But you can see I'm puddling a little bit. The drainage isn't superior, but it'll be sufficient for this. So I'll give it a little time, but what will happen is you'll start seeing water down here coming out of these little openings right down here. And you'll be very confident that you've soaked this good once you see that. Just give it a little smack. I'm gonna shake this a little bit like that. That just kind of makes sure that all those roots have settled in. I'm gonna go and sprinkle the rest of this in. Got a little bit left. Okay, there we go. So that's looking good. And on top of that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some of these leaves. Different leaf matter from my avocado tree. Let's grab some more of this. That's going to just protect the soil. That'll encourage insects to inhabit in there, and it'll keep the soil on top moist. So you can see now, look at down there, water is coming out. So we have good, decent drainage on the soil. I watered this so good that the water actually puddled down here, so you know that this is plenty of water in there right now. So this is completely soaked. I could actually probably pick this up and dump that water back in the top just to be safe, so it doesn't just puddle there, but that'll evaporate. So we know that this has got plenty of organic matter inside. It has plenty of water. It needs to stay wet, moist, especially these next few weeks. You don't want this to dry up at all. So this is a brand new tree. That was very simple. It only took about 15 minutes to do this. Again, it's the semi-dwarf Ein Sheiner apple. Ripens mid-June, July. So this year, I probably won't be getting fruit because it's just getting started growing. So there's no need to give it heavy fertilizer to grow fruit. Just some more nitrogen-based. All right, so let's do the pruning. That's the next step. The rule of thumb is you want to go 6 inches from here up. So I'm just going to go around and prune all of these. Again, I'm just using these are called Fiskars. I really like these ones, but I'll leave a link in the description where you can get these. So just go around, go ahead and cut all these back. This is kind of standard protocol when you're doing a bare root. So again, very easy doing all this with one hand. It's that entire thing. All this will grow back, so don't worry about not really doing any damage to it. It's stimulating growth. So once you get all these, all cut. Down at the bottom, I'm going to just trim these other ones out because I don't really need these very low ones. So just clean this, cut it all the way back to close to the trunk there. I don't want any branches down here anyway. I want to encourage this tree to grow upward. I prefer some vertical growing space, so I'm going to get rid of this one too. I'll leave these ones. I got about 18 inches. So I like to keep my branches off the ground. So 18 to 24 before my first branch even starts. Let's see, I got to cut one more here. All right, so we got everything about 6 inches, cut 6 inches back. So that's looking good. Now let's go up, and also now what you want to do is from the top down, you want to divide that into thirds. So I'd say 1/3, 2/3. So you want to go up 2/3 and then cut it off. So I'm cutting off about almost 2 feet, 16 and 18 inches off the top. So I know this doesn't seem ideal, but you need to do this to help stimulate the tree growth. Okay. All right, there we go. So now what will happen is you'll start seeing new growth coming out of all these spots, new growth. Wherever there's a little, you can see where my finger's pointing. Right there, you can already see there's kind of all right, so I think we are completed right now. You can see now the tree is about 5 feet tall. Everything's been pruned off. Now this is completed. We are 100% complete. What I did is just put some leaves up top. These are just some leaves from my avocado tree, so I just put a layer down a couple inches thick on top. That's going to really just encourage a nice environment for insects and keep the soil from drying out, and just a good rule of thumb every time. It's a nice insulation barrier as well. If like a blanket, if the air gets too cold, you got a crisp cold night. This will help insulate the roots. So we'll check on this in a little later on, but that's basically how you plant a bare root apple tree, or any fruit tree for that matter. So this will have excellent success rate. Again, over there, the ones you're looking at right in front of me, those were planted bare root as well. So let me just show you over here. I've got quite a bit of apples on it. Look at that over here. There's like 30 of them right there. For the size of this tree, there's a lot of apples. And the trunk is starting to get bigger too. You got about an inch and a half trunk. Next to it here is a different type. This is a ultra dwarf Anna. So that's really, this thing will not get very big. You can see right next to it. I have a lot of apples on it, but this tree is literally only about 2 feet tall, and it's got this little trunk. Excellent in containers. But I put these next to each other so they fertilize or pollinate each other. Yet apples need a pollinator. So now I'll have 3 apples in the yard, so they will all help pollinate each other. So, all right, well, that's about it. This is what you'll get in a year or two. Next season, I'll be getting apples on that tree. So start with some good soil and take care of it from the beginning in some quality planting soil, as I did, and you guys should have some good success. So you'll be having this in no time in your own apples. So in about a couple months, these have a lot of growing to do, but they are on their way. Once you have your own organic apples, you will never want to go back to store-bought. It's never the same. All right. See you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Make sure you click subscribe. Comment below. Tell me about what trees you've been planting in your yard from bare root. I also did a pomegranate as well, but let me show you that over here real quick. Here's the pomegranate. This was planted from bare root as well. I think I bought this one for like $20 as well, so $20 investment. Bare root. I think it's a good investment because already you can see this is in a 15-gallon pot. This would cost 15-gallon pomegranate may cost $100 at a nursery. So I'm actually already paying off, and I'll be getting fruit soon. So things looking really healthy. All right, everybody. We'll see you guys next time.